Yesterday, the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates were able to come to an agreement on a trade with Daniel Vogelbach, first baseman / DH, heading to the New York Mets, and the Mets sent back relief pitcher Colin Holderman back to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates were able to make completions on that trade today. Well, it seems like that both teams have run it back on another trade this afternoon, as the New York Mets have acquired Pittsburgh Pirates catcher Michael Perez, and the Pittsburgh Pirates have gotten cash considerations back in the time being, as the New York Mets have been a little bit short-handed at the catching position because of injuries to Tomas Nido as well as James McCann, and they needed somebody to come in and fill the open spot left by McCann and Nido while they nurse their injuries going forward. Now, in 39 games so far this year in 2022, Michael Perez has about 107 at-bats with a batting average of 150. He has 16 hits, including 6 home runs and 11 RBIs. He has 8 runs scored with 1 stolen base. He has an on-base percentage of .209 with a slugging percentage of .318, an OPS of .526, and an OPS plus of 47. So this is a guy that you're pretty much bringing in as not a guy that's going to be able to contribute a whole lot offensively, but Michael Perez is going to be a guy that you're solely going to rely on just becoming a good catcher in terms of like directing the game, helping him make it easier on the pitch, the starting pitcher, and help direct the games going forward. Is going to help out the pitcher when it comes to pitches and of course the defensive side of the game. You're not going to get a whole lot from Michael Perez going forward in terms of the offensive side of the game, which is something that the New York Mets have consistently not had for many years, is good consistent play on the offensive side of the catching position, as James McCann and Tomas Nido were not getting the job done. They had little spurts where they were making some offensive contributions, but in the main stat of things, these guys were mainly just there as defensive guys, and that's exactly what Michael Perez has been brought into the New York Mets to be. Is he's going to be there to direct the pitchers, help out the catching side of things in terms of defensively throwing runners out, and helping get the pitchers on set when it comes to their different types of pitches they want to throw to the plate. So this is the type of trade that right now you see the New York Mets make, as they probably thought, you know what, we made a trade already with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates seem like a team that, besides a couple of their players like Kevon Hayes and Brian Reynolds, that this is a team that's looking to sell off some of their pieces that have some value. And like yesterday with Daniel Vogelbach, the Mets probably figured, hey, we have a little bit of a short deficiency right now at catcher because of injuries to Nido as well as McCann. We might as well see what we can get of a guy like Michael Perez to hold down the fort at the moment until we can get Nido and McCann back. And we also can evaluate if Francisco Alvarez might be ready to possibly get a promotion to the big leagues going forward. But don't expect a lot of offensive production from Michael Perez in terms of the catching position. He's mainly there for defensive purposes, as well as trying to be a good catcher in terms of helping the pitcher out with location on his pitches and making sure he has his glove in the right spot to make the correct pitches for the New York Mets going forward. So that's just another move that the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates were able to come to in terms of a trade. Mets didn't have to get rid of any type of prospects in this trade. It's pretty much just a decent to average defensive catcher with pretty much little offensive production that the New York Mets are bringing in for just cash considerations. And you have to wonder if this is just a placeholder right now, bringing in Michael Perez until Nido and or McCann come back in terms of health, and then you'll have to see what the New York Mets do going forward. If they keep Michael Perez around, if something happens maybe with Tomas Nido or James McCann, if they try to maybe trade one of these guys, or if they just go with a 3-catcher system. And it all depends on also what happens with Francisco Alvarez, if he's a possibility to maybe receive a promotion from the New York Mets in the minor leagues in the coming future, because you know the New York Mets would love to add his bat to this lineup going forward, as I don't think that Vogelbach is going to be the only offensive move in terms of a bat coming in this for the August 2nd trade deadline. I do think the Mets are going to try to bring in another offensive bat to this lineup and try to maximize as much as they can get on the offensive production, because the first game coming back out of the All-Star break, the New York Mets were only able to get 1 run off of Yu Darvish last night, and they've only scored 9 runs in the past few games against opposing pitchers. So the New York Mets need to get some more production from the offensive standpoint, because this is something that they've struggled with before, and they're only about a game and a half now in front of the Braves for the NL East division lead. So the New York Mets have got to pick it up in terms of the offensive bats. Vogelbach will help. Perez might help a little bit on the defensive side of things, but I do think the Mets still need to get another bat in here. And you have to be curious to see what they're going to do before the August 2nd trade deadline in about 10 or 11 days. So that's just my quick video on the trade the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates have made, where the Mets have acquired catcher Michael Perez for cash considerations from the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you like the video, please hit the like button below. Subscribe if you haven't already to NYG JeffyT 3285 for more breaking news updates and chatter surrounding the New York Mets, Brooklyn Nets, New York Giants, WWE Wrestling, as well as food for thought. Share your comments, feelings, and thoughts below on the acquisition of Michael Perez to the catching position. Do you think that this is going to be a three-catcher battle once Tomas Nido and James McCann come back, or do you think maybe Francisco Alvarez might factor in, or the New York Mets maybe look outside the organization for a possible offensive upgrade before the trade deadline on August 2nd? And turn on the bell for notifications on the next short or video that drops surrounding the New York Mets. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Saturday. Take it easy, stay cool and hydrated. It's still very hot outside, so stay cool and hydrated as much as you can. And let's go, New York Mets. You got to believe always in those New York Mets.